As a matter of fact, I've been drooling all about this book for nearly a month, and I have been collecting my courage to finally start it. This book is called Zan'e by Fuyumi sensei. I don't think you've got an English version for the book. However, this book is actually quite popular among all those contemporary Japanese horrors. The reason I picked this up all the way from Japan is because I am a huge fan of fake documentary horrors. I loved Paranormal Activities, I loved Blair the Witch Project, and of course those Asian movies like Gongjiam and Incantation. About 4 months ago, I read this other book called Kinkichiho no Aru Basho ni Tsuite by Suzuki sensei. That was the first ever fake documentary horror fiction that I've ever read, and the scary part is like 6 out of 5 stars. It's got its little fake doc horror vibe with its tape recordings, camera footage, interviews, investigations, and some internet scoopies, things like that. Since then, I've been in hard search for another book like it, and this is what I got. I hope it will satisfy me, and I really hope that I can still go to sleep in this lonely house with my 2 cats after reading this. You know, what is really unfortunate for these 2 books is that we don't really get an official English translation for them. I think for Kinki, it's maybe about a place in the Kinki area. But for this book, I have never actually found an English version, but I do believe that it has gotten a movie adapted from it, which is called The Inerasable, The Room You Must Not Live In, maybe. So please, publishers, please notice them. Or you can just hire me to discover all these kinds of books for our English readers. This is a teeny tiny small book. It's barely the size of my hand, but it's actually got like 350 pages, so maybe I might not be reading as fast as you anticipated because my Japanese is also like... Guys, for those who are curious about what a normal Japanese book looks like, this is what it is. So you read from right to left and downwards. A very traditional way of reading. This is the reason why you should raise 2 cats at the same time, because it will liberate you from the heavy work of playing with both of them, because they will nail it themselves by playing with each other. Always start with a strange sound, and when you turn around, there is nothing. It's always the same. This is what I don't like about reading Japanese books. I need to check out the dictionary from time to time. Wow. Woo! Like hot and cold violences, I think they are hot and cold horrors. The hot horror is something featuring like monsters, demons, bad human beings that hurt you and can be defeated by either religious power or simply removing the curse like what happens in The Conjuring. But the cold horror, on the other hand, represents those malicious, invisible things that lurks and spreads and cannot be completely removed by any kinds of mortal or physical powers, like the very room 1408. And the cold horror is what I think the most fearful horrorcore in East Asia. This book is a typical cold horror. It starts with a problematic apartment that makes weird sounds, and when you go check it, there is nothing there, like has always been in so many stories. The beginning is not very horrifying, and no jump scares, big plus. Not many spooky elements yet involved, but it is scary in a very innovative way. And I can believe that there is an iceberg beneath what has already been revealed. And by the way, I like the narrator. She is of a very calm and analytical personality, not in the sense of being materialistic, science is over superstitious kind of way, but that she is open and adaptable to all worlds of logic. Like, she can be not believing in ghosts and trying to find an optimal solution in psychology, physics, and all kinds of sciences for a supernatural phenomenon. And in the meanwhile, she can also turn completely to the other side and engage herself in finding the mechanism of all those paranormal stuffs, which shows that she is very intellectually flexible. Okay, now it's time for something I don't like. The introduction is very slow. The author spent many pages on introducing the ideas of like jigobuken, kaidan, and those subtle things about living in the Japanese neighborhood, which can be interesting if you are new to these concepts. But not me. I mean, I spent nearly 100 pages and there is still no major development on the plot. I feel sleepy more often than scared. I hope this is just groundwork laying for what happens next. I hate to say this, but this book is going nowhere. The story has got into this strange loop of investigating former dwellers in the neighborhood, farming little creepy stories, and the narrator explaining how these all could be just coincidences or all in the victim's head. And guess what? We're back to the starting point. I mean, excuse me, are you suggesting that I spend 30 minutes trying to figure out all the history and those 10 million names for nothing? Well, I mean, some of them could actually be useful or can be the future freaking key to solve these puzzles. But by then, I would have already forgot. How can I expect myself to bear in mind one particular name living in that particular house when it's buried in so much random information? But to be fair, somebody would have loved this slow burn pace. It's just not what I will expect when I am reading a horror novel. Normally when I do, I want to find thrills, which there is so few in this book up until now. God, it's pouring. And I'm literally reading the horror in this weather. Normally, a horror story escalates its tension by digging deeper into the problem to trigger and witness things that levels up the hair-raising scale. But the problem of this book is that it's too recursive. One investigation in this book does not land on the problem per se, but refers to another house, which refers to another neighbor, which leads to even another indirect connection. And all of them are experiencing similar things like weird sound, dark shadows, the sudden feeling of someone behind you, and suicide incidents and whatever. It's like the narrating is going around the problem rather than into it. And in the end, we're going nowhere. I can feel that Fuyumi is trying to construct this inner connection and the inevitability of some curse. But for me, these steps are just too redundant and unnecessary. The momentum is too thin out, the chains are too overextended, and the pages are just too repetitive. And what bothers me more is that it is such an information overload. Like, even the author herself is fumbling a little bit on the details. Or maybe it's just that my brain capacity is too limited. Even though I am so fatigued reading through this book that I need to roast it a little bit to recover my mental health, there is something I like about it. If you remember what I mentioned earlier, this book fits perfectly in the cold heart metaphor. It conveys this idea that we all heard Asian ghost stories or horror tales about a curse by the deceased or inhuman demon, and we get scared because spiritual things are beyond human knowledge and they have the capacity to hurt humans or take them away. But Fuyumi is like, you should watch your mouth about these tales. The ghosts are never the problem. They could have never been true or existed. The real terror is why and how these stories came from nowhere and survived. And by telling it and looking into it, you are participating. And the worst case is that you are getting yourself involved. That is the key meaning of this title, Zan'e, which I guess is close to the feeling of unerasable, lingering, unclean, taboo contamination. About the language, although I am familiar with Japanese culture, Japanese history, and its Asian tales, this book is still difficult for me. The expressions in this book are harder to digest than a lot of other contemporary Japanese novels. So I won't suggest anyone who has not passed Japanese level N1 to do this. Don't you think it is dreadful when people are laughing when they're talking about those paranormal things happen to them? It's like they are trying to persuade themselves that they are no more than bystander to the story instead of like a part of it. You know, the reason that I have never been scared for even once after I started this is probably because that I've got to cats, and cats make a lot of sounds. And whenever I hear something that is not supposed to be there, I can always tell myself that the girls are doing it. Whoa. I get it why it doesn't have an English adaptation. It's so difficult to translate, guys. Shiro. Guys, friends from Japan, do you all know about this? These? You know, the logic is actually pretty interesting. I like it. It's very It's like a very accomplished system of this unidentified contamination. To mention, but I don't think what is in this book is rushed though. This book is like what it started is unintentional. When you touch it, you touch it. It's not like reaching out to you.
これが姉妹の揉め事Look at them. I want to have a sister as well. You know what, guys? This is sisterhood for sure. Hey guys, good morning. I am doing babysitting today. Say hi, mister. Could you please? And by the way, I am about only 50 pages from finishing the book. I guess I'll finish it in maybe 1 or 2 hours, and I'll share with you my opinions about this book later.
Huh? これで終わった? Yeah. Is this the end? Are you kidding me? This is so unfinished. My brain is traumatized. I need to read something good. Oh my god. You know what? Since 65 million years ago, an asteroid hit planet Earth and caused extinction of all dinosaurs, there should be a lingering curse left by those poor creatures, and I can't see no reason why our main characters don't carry on their research that far. Sorry, that was mean. I just want to express how upset I am with the ending. That is not an ending. That is leaving the faucet running after finishing brushing your teeth. Are you messing with me? Last time I felt this way was when I accidentally stuck my miserable ass into Hunter's March without sprint nor my drift cloak and sat on that damn bench on my first Hollow Knight Silksong playthrough. But you know what? Silksong is a great game, and I don't think this is a bad book. The problem is that I misled myself into believing that this is a horror while it's in fact a fieldwork study journal of Japanese folklores, only with some very limited unsettling elements. I'll give it 2 stars. 1 for the elaboration of the concept of kegare, another for the female characters in this book who are calm, intelligent, courageous, and exploratory minded. Also, I checked out the movie. It was quite boring, but of course if you find the book boring, you'll find the movie boring. The ending though is so much better. It's got the atmosphere and leaves you pondering upon the topic. So if you ask me whether you should read this, I'll say if you enjoy slow storytelling and information-heavy investigation atmosphere and are maybe a little bit afraid to do most documentary horrors, this is for you. If you are interested in this and are remotely repelled by the repetitiveness and the ending going nowhere, go watch the movie instead. If you are neither of those mentioned, my piece of advice would be don't read it.